What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Radio, episode 5 of season 7. I'm your host, Jim Iacovone, joined as always by Jack Smith. And if you're catching us live on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the alert so you never miss a show. All you podcast listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you're the first in line when the new episode drops. And make sure it's a nice little 5-star review. Leave something in the comments for us so we know that you're watching. Let's get started with the Fans of Philly read.
Flyers fans, we've got something special for you today. Looking to take your game day experience to the next level? Then look no further than Fans of Philly. With over 14 years experience, they're the go-to team for putting together unforgettable travel packages for the die-hard Philly sports fans.
Why Fans of Philly, you guys ask? Let's break it down for you guys. They've spent years building the best relationships with bars, hotels, teams, transportation, you name it. Every trip they plan gets better, and trust me, they'll make sure your experience is top-notch.
That's right, Jim. Whether it's scouting out the perfect hotel, finding the hottest nightlife, or securing the best seats in the arena, Fans of Philly has it all figured out. They know how to make your trip an absolute blast. So head on over to fansofphilly.com. That's fansofphilly.com and book your next Flyers road trip today.
Yep, fansofphilly.com. There you go, boys and girls. So the season's here. The trips are going to any day now. There's going to be some trips. Flyers start their season on Friday. Obviously, they're on the road. Kick off with a nice little 4-game road trip. But you know, the trips are coming. I think they're heading out to Utah this year. I saw Montreal was a destination. They're heading out to Dallas. So they have some stuff planned and cooked up. Make sure you guys head over to fansofphilly.com to book a trip today. So the season's upon us, Jack. The roster has been announced.
It has. No surprises at all.
None. But it's here. Like, I can't believe how fast not only the summer is gone, but it's hockey season. They had their first games over the weekend. They were in Europe. What was it, Czech or
I think it was where the Flyers were, where we went, the same place. Prague. I think it was Prague.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buffalo, New Jersey, and there you go. So we're here now. It's Monday. The Flyers have announced their opening night lineup or players who at least made the roster. And, you know, we talked a lot about Jett Luchanko in episodes leading up. Flyers 2024 first overall pick made the roster, Jack. And
wow,
I gotta tell you, like, I know there was a lot of buzz. And I'm not shocked only because I think around last week, the signs kind of pointed that he was going to make the team, right? But like looking at everything overall from the time he was drafted to now, I'm surprised. How about you?
I'm definitely surprised. I understood as we ramped up, it was more and more likely that he was going to make it. But for me, it's exciting. It's fun. It may only be the 9-game tryout, and we'll see how that affects the player. I'm not too worried, but you never know. It was a little strange. I had heard, and I'm pretty sure it's in past interviews, that Keith Jones wasn't too big on the 9-game tryout. That's neither here nor there. There's a bunch of people making the decisions. Certainly seems like Tort's got his way. I will say that. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's just typically for me, in past interviews as well, I'm not sure if it was Jonesy or Briere, maybe both. They had said that they want to see their guys dominate at each level. And Jett didn't really get a chance to do that. He's already here. So that's a little strange. It's a little different. Also, not the most, and it's not. I'm excited. It's great. It's kind of taken the rebuild a step forward. Where I look back and I'm like, Jim, how many things have they done that have been more rebuildy and not kind of let's gear up and go for it? Because I feel like it's the latter. Are you on mute?
Yeah, I don't know what this move is. I guess, I mean, they're kind of portraying it like Jett gives them the best chance to win right now. Is how they're saying this. You know, he's got NHL speed. He can skate with some of the most elite NHL skaters, which, hey, I know that he's a very good skater, but we'll see. Like, we haven't really seen him up against some of these guys. They haven't really mentioned a lot about the physical aspect, which I think what I found interesting was the people that watch Luchanko day in and day out at camp. The majority of them are saying that Jett's not ready for the NHL, and just from the games that I watched him live, Jack, and I got to see him in 3 total games. One was the rookie series game where looked great, and then the 2 games in the preseason, and he looked fine, but I don't think he looked good enough to play in the NHL, which, would lead me to believe that this can only be a 9-game thing. And I think they've hinted at it in some of their interviews that, can he withstand the toll of an 82-game season? It's more than just skating, and as we found out, with the Joel Farabee last year, when you're in the playoff contention, down the last 20 games or so, things get a little tighter, a little harder. There's less space to run around or skate around. It gets a little bit more physical. So do they want to subject him to that yet? And I say subject like he's a kid that doesn't know what he's doing. This is a hockey player, obviously, but can he take that kind of punishment? Can he take that kind of toll on his body? She's still just, freshly 18-year-old kid. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. Right, Jack?
I mean, we're gonna. And the more I talk about it, the more I think it's just going to be a 9-game tryout, unless he goes above and beyond. But then, as much as I talk myself into that, I keep coming around to, I mean, how much pull do you think Tortorella has here? Because it feels like there's a couple of players that either get benched or make the team based on what he likes. Last year, big fan of Forrester, was most likely going to make the team, but he's not the one that surprised the camp. That was Brink. It was like they had a predetermined mindset. Kind of feel the same way with Jett. Once he showed him a little something, it's got that NHL caliber speed. Torts like speed with his centers, and it's one reason why Hayes and him butted heads. Hayes is a slow center, and Frost is a fast player, but does he really play that fast? Does he really play? No, I think there's a reason his favorite center on the team is Ryan Poehling. And that's over Coots as well, who guys never was all that fast. Now he's got a back issue. It's like a lot of what I see with Torts is some of these players, and not that they're not deserving, but it's out of the realm when the guy is 18 a month and a half and he makes the team and he's like, man, he really fits the way Torts wants the center to play, because he didn't blow down the door. He had a good camp. He had some good solid games. He by no means knocked down the door. You could make an argument that Ole Lixell had a better preseason than he did. Now, we're not there in practice, but there's nothing for me to think otherwise. And you can even put Anthony Richard on that list as well. It's not like it was above and beyond. It was Jett. Wow, look at this guy. Oh, my God. And he makes the team. So that tells me a few things. And it's less about Jett because we know there's talent there, and more about Tortorella. And did he get his way? Is that something that's could potentially be an issue? We both agree that we don't see him as the coach after I give him one more year, because that's his contract. Some people think this could be it, but that's 2 times that he's got his way over. And look at the team. What have they done in the rebuild stat? They re-signed Konechny. Is that something a rebuilding team does? Not really. An 18-year-old, but you got to think about his ELC, burning a year off of that. Bumping him up to the NHL now. Why? He was great. They don't have to do it. He's just turned 18. He can go dominate juniors, and then we can try this again next year or something like that. But no, he needed to be here now. So I don't know. The whole process was weird. It wasn't, he didn't blow down the door, and it had me thinking, and is there a chance that there might be a little bit more going on behind the stage with Tortorella's, ultimately having his way, I guess. Not that it's a bad thing, but just saying.
It could be, but he's the coach, right? He gets to decide the roster. So I don't see a problem with that.
Well, if you're a rebuilding team, though, you're not going to burn a year of a guy's ELC, and it could affect you with free agency down the line.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So they got to be on the same page in that aspect, where it sounds to me like, I haven't really, I've only heard, obviously what anybody else has heard from Torts, which he hasn't said anything that's made me believe that he's going to keep him past 9 games. To me, it sounded like, he wants to give him a look and see what he's got. They need speed, like you were just saying. And then on the contrary, you've heard, like I was saying with Briere. And so it's interesting. We'll see. And for the ELC reason alone, you let him get a taste. And unless he somehow overperforms, but in the 9-game stint, I think you still have to think long term, right?
That's the reason, and I'm not against him staying, but like the long term aspect is, I don't think him going back to juniors hurts in any way. He's clearly better than where he was draft slotted at. It's like, go do your thing, dominate juniors, which the organization, at least the guys in the front office, have said in the past. We want to see them dominate at each level. It just feels like, and Charlie O'Connor made a perfect like analogy for this. And it's like, if you're in school and you're in like the 4th grade and you get like a 98, that's great. Yeah, you're gonna go to 5th grade. Like, great job. But if you're in 4th grade and you get hundreds on everything, it's like, we should have a conversation about this kid maybe going to middle school already. Like, wow, he's killing it. I feel like Jett had that conversation, but he didn't get hundreds on everything. And that analogy was perfect, because he did not knock down the door at camp. He's very, very young. He has plenty to learn still. He did a lot of things that Tortorella likes, and it just seemed like he had a rooting interest from the front office, especially the coaching staff, from the get-go, that he probably made it over some other guys that it made more sense for them to make based on where the team is right now. And that's for the future, and that's for today. Ultimately, I don't think it affects the player's development. It is just it is strange. It's an interesting thing, and I think that's why I was always on. No, there's no way he makes it, no matter how good he is. And seeing that he was pretty good, but nothing to freak out about, and he like makes the team. Doesn't he have to play the final preseason game? Their minds are already made up. It's like, damn, that's telling. That's telling.
Yeah, and hey, it's I think like if you're a fan of the rebuild and you want to see some of the younger guys play, this is what you want to see. Like they just drafted this kid 3 months ago, and he's going to be in the lineup day 1. Now, I think there might be a little bit more to this. Obviously, they're playing Jett because he's going to play well, or they think he can play well and whatever. But I wonder if there's a little bit of, we're trying to light a fire under Noah Cates' ass as well, right? Because it's the last year of his deal. I was told in camp he was getting, he was on the 5th line, right? There is no 5th line, but that's just goes to show you that, hey, and this was early in camp, that he's not part of the 4 lines right now. Like, they need more from him. You heard Torts say it. I don't know if it was on the standard or if it was just in a regular press conference or what, but he mentioned they need more offense from Noah Cates. He said there's more there, and we need to get it from him. And we know Cates as a better defensive center, right? But he mentioned the year that Couturier was out. And I know Cates only put up like 38 points, but I think it was his rookie season too, or something like that. Mm-hmm. He mentioned he wants that. He wants that Noah Cates in the 3C role. And so to me, it looks like Torts is up to like some of the, I'm going to say old tricks, and it might, you could take that in a negative way, or you could take it in the way that I think it is, the positive way, where he's like, hey, we drafted your replacement. He made the team. He's going to play. We need offense from you, and then I forget if I mentioned already, this is the last year of that 2-year deal for Cates. If he can't fit in as a 3C, or a 3 left wing, or a 4th line left wing, where does he fit? They can't give him a raise, most certainly. Like, what are your thoughts there?
No, it's a solid point. Just keep in mind, I'm going to bring this up. His rookie season, he played 16 games. You're referring to the 22-23 season. He played a full 82 games. 13
Yeah, I
goals,
count that as his first full season. Yeah.
which, 16 games, he probably barely touched the ice in those games too. So, yeah, so 13 goals, 25 assists for 38 points. He was a +3. Followed up by last year, 59 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points, -8. Now, that was due to injury. I was willing to give him at least this season because he was hurt last year. He didn't get off to the best start. He missed a big chunk of time, and it's kind of tough to get back into his swing of things. He did finish the season pretty strong. However, offensively, they've been wanting more offense from him. I don't know how much of a groove it was going to be get into coming back from injury. You probably want to work on your defensive game first, which he's also known for. So yes, the offense has been slow. I to your point, yeah. I mean, I don't think they purposely mess with a first round picks development to light a fire under potential fourth line, third line guy. However, it could be a secondary thing. Excuse me, because another name that is also in the last year of his deal also happens to play center is Morgan Frost. Now, does it seem like he needs a fire lit under his ass? Depends on who you ask. I think Tortorella would say, hell yeah. He straight up doesn't like Morgan Frost as a center. It just is what it is. It's whether it's style of player he is. This is how Tortorella is. It's how he's treated the guy. And the guy's awfully talented. Hopefully spends a lot of time with Michkov. But same time, if those guys don't click and things get shuffled around, is Jett here like, yo, this guy was drafted 13th overall. We took some flack and put him on team at 18 years old. Yeah, you're about to have your bridge deal's over. Like, you got to make a decision, or we're going to make a decision on you rather. Like, that would light a fire under him even more so as well, because they're both projected to be top 6 centers, where Noah Cates is, he could be off the team. So I think it works both ways, especially bringing him on now. That's got to be secondary. I don't think they would do that with Jett, but it's going to be interesting. I really do believe that Torts likes 2 centers on this team. And, like, is Cates a center, or is he more of a winger? Because that was a good fourth line. That was probably the best fourth line in hockey for, a good 2.5 months. But, like we're saying here, they see more out of him, and they want to see it offensively. But he's going the wrong way in the lineup to get those offensive points. You're going to want to see with players other than Delorier and Paling and whatnot, and some other guys. But the potential spot he could grab is gone just like that. So it is what it is. I don't know how much they care about Cates when I think about it.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah.
If you want a spot next year, this kid's here now. And then, like, let's say he even goes home after the 9 games, he goes back to Guelph. He's going to be right back here in camp next year, and you would assume, going to be a better player coming into camp next year, knowing what to expect, yada, yada. This is a real threat to, I think, Noah Cates' roster spot. And, there's comments here. We have Fancy Fruins. Cates is invisible offensively. Oakham Razor here is excited. Yo, let's go. Stanley Cup or bust. I don't know about that yet.
Yeah, you never know. Dave
chimes in. There's more. The game is more than goals and points. Totally agree. And I like this comment here. There's something to be said about developing with players better than you and not worse than you. And that's a good point. So let's talk about that for a second, I think, before we get into more like, what's going on here with the roster spot and whatnot. I said from the beginning, like, there's no right or wrong for me with Jett Luchanko. They drafted an outstanding player, obviously. Doesn't matter to me where he gets time, if it's in Guelph or the Flyers. He's going to be a good player no matter what. Like, he's not going to go back to Guelph and forget how to play hockey. And, if he makes the Flyers or he gets time with the Flyers, great. He should be like a sponge. It should all be learning for him. There's no negative here for me. It just, my preference was I would have sent him back to Guelph. But I guess, like, the message for Cates is obviously, like, there's twofold. Like, it doesn't always have to be just one thing, right? Like, he's getting the time with the Flyers, and now it's also like a shot across the bow to Noah Cates. Like, if you want to be here, if you want a spot next year, this is the guy. Like, he's here for you. Like, he's competing with you now as an 18-year-old, and he was a first-round pick. So the writing for me is kind of on the wall with Noah Cates, because I don't know about you, Jack, but I'm not expecting him to put up, north of 40 points anytime soon.
No, Nor am I. He's just not the style of player. I mean, would they like some more offense out of him? Yeah, who wouldn't? And I think you're going to get that when he's fully healthy playing regular reps. But now I don't know. He's odd man out, and who the hell knows? He's going to be jerking around, and I don't think ultimately we'd be losing anything. But as far as, you know, the game is more than just points and goals. It's like, well, obviously these are the things, and learning at NHL level. These are the positives we're going to take out of these 9 games and go from there. I'm not fighting that at all. It's great. I just go by what the team had said and what they do, and there's some differences there. He did not dominate at juniors. If he did, he'd been a top 10 pick, if not higher. And he did not dominate in preseason to demand a spot like he got. And it is intriguing. It's interesting. And I do think he's a style of center, especially with his speed and he's a guy trying to impress to make the team too. So he's going all out as much as he can. You know, I get that. So I think that's why Torts would like him at least right this second more than Frost even. So it makes a lot of sense that a coach wants him here now. Not so much sense from the front office side. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it is why I'm surprised. I feel like the coach definitely got his way. Could be fine. But from a front office standpoint, not something you typically do when you're rebuilding, which we've been told they've been doing, because you're burning an ELC of Michkov. That's fine. We get it. But he is here earlier than planned, and you're going to do the same to Luchanko as well. You're really cutting yourself short with some of the contracts we have. Resign to Connect needs something a team rebuilding typically doesn't do. When it comes time to sign the big free agent, you're already down a tier, maybe 2 financially, because how can you commit big money to a guy that you already are going to overpay for in free agency that you need when you have all this other money already allocated to everybody else? It's just something to consider from the front office's view. Is it really worth it now? So they got 9 games. So if he stays past that, that's a different conversation, and we'll have to ultimately see how he's playing. But for now, it really does feel like Torts got his way.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the coach. JR says Luchanko is staying the whole year.
We'll see. That'd be interesting. It'd be really fun.
I would be more surprised at that than I would at him making the team, to tell you the truth, because they were kind of hinting all camp like, hey, you know, this could happen. And, it was, like I said, either way, you were fine with it, right? Like if he makes the team, great. Like he's not staying past 9 games. If he stays past 9 games, if he plays in more than 9 games, I'll be floored, right?
Yeah, because then you are burning the ELC.
Comment from Fancy here. What's Jett's ceiling? I don't think it is 1C. His ceiling is probably 2C, and developing that skill set in the NHL is realistic. I would agree with that.
Yeah, there's not many comments I disagree with. Just the kid was in high school last year. Like it's more likely he would go to juniors and up his game and dominate there before taking that step. There's nothing wrong with doing it now. It's just think about from the front office point of view, contracts and whatnot. And it feels like having him on the team now is more of a win now move, or do something now move that the coach got. You know, like all the evidence is there and the reasons are there. You don't have to have him come up this year to learn that stuff. Now you have nothing but time with this guy. He is 18 in a month and a half. It's not like he's an overager or anything like that. So let's say I'm not going to complain, but it makes me go, certain things make me say,
Here's a question from Eric. Is Jett the next Mike Richards? I read he could be similar. Similar in the sense that he's responsible in the defensive end and can provide some offense. But to me, that's the end of the comparisons. Yeah, there's really no. Look, if just to answer the question, I'll say no. Like straight up, are they similar? No, they're not. So yeah, that pretty much answers that one. Jett Luchanko is a skater, and look, he plays the style that the Flyers play. I think I've said it many times on the show. Yeah, I mean, responsible defensively, and he makes himself available to support teammates, get out of the zone, and he gets up ice in a flat.
Well, that's it. Fast in the neutral zone. Yeah. That's what he does. And Morgan Frost could do that, but sometimes Morgan Frost doesn't do that. And I think that irritates Tortorella because he can do it. Coots, on the other hand, is getting older. back issue. Maybe he just can't do it. Jett can do that. He can definitely do that. Like, to me, that tells me, yeah, it makes sense for this fast, speedy center to be on the team now, even though he didn't knock down the door at camp. We'll take out of it what we can, NHL-wise, learning at the NHL level, but seems like Tortorella really, and it's an interesting line. Who doesn't want to see Farabee and Brink and Luchanko? Like, that's your third line. That's exciting. That's pretty nice for this team. I like that.
Yep, for sure. And that's what I'll be looking for. Like, because during the preseasons when, he's going against, bottom 6 lines and 8 career AHLers, we saw him play responsibly away from the puck, defensively. And maybe there was like a flash or two of offense. But for the most part, there was really nothing that really made you jump out of your seat. You had to really kind of just, at least for me, you really had to watch him to see, okay, he can play here. Can he make a difference? I don't know that they're going to ask him to make a difference. I think they're just going to, show him the ropes. Look, at this point, who the hell knows? Maybe he is going to be lighting it up, scoring goals, that kind of thing. But like we've been saying, there was nothing really in the preseason that was like, Jett's making this team, like, hands down. He should be on this team. It was more like, okay, he's hanging around. Should he make this team? I don't know. There's guys that have been playing a little better than him. Look,
all I felt like, what we thought about the draft, we were clearly wrong. We don't know what we're talking about. That's how Jett made me feel, and that was a great feeling. I feel like we've now exploded through a ceiling that probably should have been there, that we've exploded through, and it's like, Jesus Christ, he's on the team now? Like, it's crazy. I mean, it's good news at the end of the day, but I don't know. I'm really surprised he made the team, and I'll be even more surprised if they burn a year of his ELC.
Yeah. Zach chiming in. What's up, guys? Hey, Zach.
What's up?
It's going to be fun to watch, says Fancy. Yeah. At the very least, it's going to be interesting. There's another reason to watch the Flyers. How's Jett Luchanko doing his first 9 games? Can he hang around? Will he even get all 9? We'll find out. That's the best reality TV show around. Philadelphia Flyers. Sure. Is Michkov going to get 9 games, Jack? Says
he's going back to Russia, and he's taking Kolosov with him.
Vinny chiming in. Evening, gents. Hey, Vinny.
What's up?
Fancy chiming in. Is that a joke? I missed it. Fancy. What was
probably
the joke?
My guess is the Michkov.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, don't mind Dan.
Know,
yeah, he's
we know
Canadian.
Dan. He's a silly goose.
Okay. All right. So let's kind of move on just a little bit here. So we talked Luchanko. We pretty much drilled down on that, I think, from most angles.
Vinny just made the point you made earlier. So yes, Jim, it brought that up. It's a very good point. It's definitely a secondary thing we believe. It's funny. You mentioned Cates. I mentioned Frost. There you go.
We literally said a shot across the bow.
Yeah.
That's funny. Same page, man. Smart viewers,
smart viewers, baby. Smart, love it.
They make us feel pretty smart sometimes. Like we know what we're talking about. Michael, is there also an FU to Cutter? Like, had you shown up instead of ignoring, you probably could have made the team and earned it. Guess we will never know. Yeah, I don't know if they're so much. I don't think they're thinking about Cutter at all at this point. But I see what you're saying, Michael, and sure, that could be a message as well. I think Cutter's out in Anaheim. He's probably going to make that opening night roster out there. So I don't know if either side's thinking about the other at this point. Teddy chiming in, and good thing he mentioned it. Season predictions. Jack, should we get into that now? We're already a half an hour into the show.
Yeah, we can knock him out. We don't have to go too crazy with that. I know we want to talk some Kolosov still.
Okay, let me bring that up here. So, all right, so we're going to do final standings. We're going to do the Flyers awards, most goals, points leader, and how the Flyers are going to fare this year in the Metro Division. Maybe we want to give, we'll toss out like how many points do they get? I think the over-under from Vegas is like 81.5, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
I'll look it up because I just said, not even thinking. Hold
on. I just saw it was 81, but I don't know if it was from Vegas or if it was 81.5.
Go with it. What did they get last year? I forget.
The Flyers, I don't know. I have to look that up.
See if I can.
Zach O chiming in. I know I should be reasonable, but I'm really hyped for the season, finishing third in the Metro.
75 points last year.
Did they finish with just 75?
Yeah, they went on that bad of a. Hold on, let me double check, make sure.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I thought you just typed in 2023, but if it did the wrong
Maybe
year,
it gave you the season before.
Yeah, I'm thinking 75 is low. I thought they were rough. Oh God. Okay, let's try this again. 87.
All right.
87. Like 75. Shit. Yeah, 87. Whoops.
Yeah. So they're projected to finish
so 80,
6 point lower somehow.
80, yeah, no, I'm taking the over there.
Okay. All right. So let's get into that a little bit. Yeah, Vinny's taking the over. Dave's taking the over. So let's get into the season points then. First,
we're gonna say
we'll just kick it off.
We're gonna make ridiculous statements. We're gonna say why.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So where do the Flyers finish, Jack? How many points do they finish with?
I'm thinking like pretty close to where they were, but I think the Atlantic's going to be better, a little bit better at least, mainly the Devils. I think some teams will take some steps back, but nothing too significant. Maybe Columbus, we'll see what happens there. But I got them at like 92 points. They make the playoffs as the last wild card seed and probably get bounced in the first round to a team like Boston or something, or, somebody like Florida maybe. But I think they steal 2 games. I think they show that they have some fight in them. Maybe win like game 2 and 5 or something like that, or whatever. So I don't know, something like that. Enough for the last wild card spot, whatever that is. I think it's going to be a battle all year. I don't think they'll be safely in a spot like they were last year for so long and just drop. I think we'll have our ups and downs. I think they'll be a solid team, but I think it's going to be a tough conference. I think it's going to be a tough division with certain teams for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So in the Atlantic, obviously we have the Maple Leafs, we have the Panthers, we got the Lightning that always hang around. I don't think I mentioned the Bruins. So that's 4 teams right there.
You say Florida?
Yep.
Okay. So
Toronto, Florida, Tampa, Boston.
And then you got teams like Ottawa, who everybody's waiting for them to turn it around. They finally got a legit goaltender now that could do a lot for a team. We'll see. But that's looking up for them. Buffalo hasn't made the playoffs, 13 years? I mean, they're making trades. They're making trades. Yeah, I know too. Well, I'm going to come around to that for the winner of that game too. But it's like, they're at some point but they could be a nuisance to a team like us. Montreal, I don't think is in it after the injuries they've had. Suzuki's a nice player, but is he like a number 1 C on a really good team, or is he a number 1 C on that team? Yeah, he's a player I'd love to have, but like, I don't think the talent's there. Now you got no line A. It didn't. Ryan Bacher get hurt too. Like, I don't even know if he was with the team. But they got some injuries out there. They got some holes. They got a nice little core of young prospects coming up, but it's not like Demidov's coming over. Their savior's not going to be there this year. Sorry. So I don't see them doing much. But like, that's like their whole division outside of Montreal. And did I forget a team? Oh, you're on mute. Stop doing that, you little bastard.
The Red Wings, who will probably be direct competition with the Flyers.
Exactly. Almost the same spot. People are starting to question the Yzer plan, and look, Kane stayed there. Is this a year that Kane is like, it's not working, I'm out if things don't go that way? Like the Yzer plan, it's time to make the playoffs. Been doing enough drafting. He added some players. We have Patrick Kane for a reason, so I think that they signed 2 guys. Was it Lucas Raymond and Mo Seider, long-term deals? Like, let's go. Yeah, so they're going to be a nuisance as well. So it's really like 1, maybe 2 teams in the Atlantic that are probably not going to make some noise. That's a pain in the ass. And then you look at your own division, the Metropolitan, where, like, for me, Jim, now I have Florida winning the Atlantic. I didn't put any other rankings, but I did for the Atlantic. Excuse me. I have the Rangers winning the division. To me, they're still the cream of the crop. I think Carolina may have taken a little bit of a step back. Their defense isn't as impressive as I thought it had been in the past. They've had to make some decisions on some players and let some other ones go. So I have the Rangers too. I fought long and hard on this one. I did go with the Devils second. A lot of people have them winning the division, which I think is incredible. Like, look, they got to prove they can stay healthy. They did get their goaltending situation taken care of. As a fantasy owner of Jacob Markstrom, I think it was a great decision. However, I've seen Markstrom. You get all-star Markstrom, and you get, I forgot how to play Markstrom. So it'll whatever one they get is going to go a long way. But they got a nice lot of players surrounding them, just waiting to break out. So keep an eye on the Devils. I don't think it's that crazy to say they're in second. Could have said third. Instead, I went with Carolina. I do think they represent our division very well. They have some nice players, great coaching, great atmosphere. They did take a step back on the roster, I believe. And then finally, that's where I had the Flyers after that. I have the Flyers hanging in there to get a wild card spot. They had to beat out the Islanders to do that. I don't know how I feel about the Islanders. They're such a strange team. They feel like they can beat you how they beat us in the playoffs, but then they just keep losing talent. And guys like Andres Lee are just getting older and less effective and things of that nature. So I don't know. And they got Sorokin. So I don't know with them. I think that they came on pretty late last year. I don't know if they do that this year. And then it's like, where do you feel with Washington and Pittsburgh? The two, I think I'll give Pittsburgh the edge up because Crosby is still playing at an elite level where Ovi's clearly hanging on for the record. But then what do those teams do in the offseason? Penguins, what? They added Kevin Hayes. Okay. Oh, they did get – is McGroarty playing this year? I think he is, right? You're on mute again. Muted you.
Sorry. I don't know if he made the team or not. I to be honest with you, I really have only been focused on the Flyers. I just haven't really paid attention to the rest of the league, tell you the truth.
Well, and I think Shadow says it perfectly here. And this is what he did last year. He can't be counted out. As much as I hate him, he kept that team alive and going, and it's why they did anything last year. They have, as I said, they brought in Kevin Hayes, which was kind of hysterical. But they still have, and they're getting older and they're less effective. But Letang and Malkin and Erik Karlsson, so we'll see how that all goes. And Washington, Chikrin and anybody else they had, I can't remember. I don't, Oshie's getting. When I talk to fans of Washington, they're not too high on the prospects there. They're just, we're hoping somebody can revitalize us. And then they got Pierre-Luc Dubois as well. They're taking these big swings on like certain players. Dubois could kill that locker room. That could sink that team. He's done that pretty much everywhere he's gone. But there is talent there. If he decides he wants to play, and you got Jacob Chikrin they got for peanuts on the dollar. We'll see if he's worth a damn and see how much OV has left. So I have them just above Columbus for the division, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see what they could go either way. They're really good. Yeah, and you're right. Oshie's done. Like it's rough.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And Columbus, they got some players there, but everything with Johnny Gaudreau, I mean, you're already walking into a really tough situation. And now you're talent-wise are down significantly. I think they're going to see some young guys playing to just see what they have.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into who leads the Flyers in goals this year.
I struggled with this one. Ultimately, I fell on TK. I think Mishkov's going to dish a little bit more. I kept up with TK. I don't know if Tippett breaks 30 yet. I think he may have a little bit of a regression year. For me, goal-wise, it was between those three. I got TK with 32 goals. I think he'll miss some time himself. He always does. I think he's the team leader in goals. I think 32 is a reasonable. I went with 35. I was like, I don't know how much he's going to play. We'll see. But I kind of like that number. A lot of it's going to depend on the rest of the team and certain players. So I went with 32 for TK.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see Tippett maybe challenge TK for team lead in goals this year, right? Like there are some people, and this annoys me a little bit because JVR kind of ruined this for me. The whole time JVR was here, people would call him a potential 30-goal scorer, and he literally never scored 30 goals as a Flyer.
You know why that's even worse than you made it out to be? Because you're right, he never did. The 2 years he scored 30 goals, the first year was the year we traded him to Toronto. So it's like you let him go, he scores 30. Yeah. And the year before he hit free agency. So he had just scored 30 and now we're re-signing him. So all we remember is 30 goals, even though the whole time in between he didn't score 30 goals. And sure enough, he did not score 30 goals a year either.
Yeah, never did it with us. So it annoys me a little bit when people, go out of their way to say, Owen Tippett's a potential 30-goal scorer. Joe Farabee is a potential 30-goal scorer. And it's like, well, why don't we let these guys actually hit that number before we start calling them perennial 30-goal scorers and this and that? So I would like to see Owen Tippett break the 30-goal mark this season and challenge Travis Konechny for the team leading goals. Maybe 28 goals last year is very solid. 53 points in 78 games from Tippett. I think he can be more, right? He's basically an offensive machine because you're not going to get much defense out of him. His hockey sense is a knock. People want to knock him for his hockey sense. And, sometimes it's legit. Hey, if you're out there for offense, let's hit 30 goals this year, Owen Tippett. So to not take the same player, because I think Konechny is going to score a lot of goals, I'll take Owen Tippett as the Flyers' leading goal scorer this year. How many will he score? I'm just going to toss a number out there. I'll say 34 for Owen Tippett. All right. All right. What do we got next? Points. Am I still here? Can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves.
Oh shit! I did that. Sorry, Jim.
No, I was like, wait, is there
I'm sitting here. I never do that. So I was chewing something. So my bad. Okay. What was where did we leave off?
Who leads the Flyers in points this year?
All right. I'm sorry, but I had to. All right. It's Michkov. I'm going Michkov.
Wow.
Yes, I have, but I think that TK does miss some time. I don't think Michkov will miss as much time. I got him at like 66 points.
Okay. I'll go with your guy for goals.
This is my swinging for the fence play because I know it's only preseason, but I have not felt that excited about the team or player for the Flyers in a very long time. So I try to keep it reasonable. He just looks the part. He looks the part, and he thrives with the pressure, the bright lights. It doesn't seem to bother him. He seems to thrive in it. And Kai just wants to play and win so badly. I think he's going to lead the team in points. I mean, he better.
I don't think he needs to. Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm only kidding. But I think he's definitely capable of being in contention.
And I'm going to go with your guy for goals. I'm going to go Konechny. I'm going to say 75 points.
If you score the most goals, you probably score the most points. Yep. Which is why the next award, Bobby Clark, I'm sticking with TK. I know it's like, well, he didn't have the most points. I think his impact will be more important. Plus, I don't see them giving that to Michkov his rookie year unless he fucking freaks out. Sorry. Which I don't see happening. I'm going to get fired. So, yeah. And then that leaves Barry Ashby. Or, I'm sorry, who's your Bobby Clark winner?
So you're going to have to remind me of what some of these are for.
MVP. I only went with
Bobby Clark's MVP.
Yeah, Barry Ashby's best defensive player, and Pelle Lindbergh is going to be renamed to Travis Sanheim. That's that's most improved. That's it.
Improved.
Yeah.
All right. So for Bobby Clark, I'll go Travis Konechny. Barry Ashby's defense, I'll go Cam York.
I went Cam York as well.
And for most improved, I'm going to go Jamie Drysdale.
Wow, Jim.
Did we get the same picks?
Same three.
Oh, my God.
Doesn't Jamie Drysdale make so much sense? It's almost like a confidence booster, even if it's really – but everything he does, I feel, is an improvement. Anything he does this year is going to be looked at as an improvement, including games played. So unless somebody else that really had a rough year, like Noah Cates, spots 23 goals, I don't see. Yeah, it feels like a foregone conclusion almost, unless things fall off the wagon.
Comment here from Eric Wisniewski. Looking forward to seeing Bobby Clark shake hands with Michkov when he passes him on the all-time points list. And not to be, I hope Bobby Clark is still alive when that happens.
I was thinking you have to do it quick.
Yeah, I hope that does happen, and I hope Bobby Clark is still around for that because that would be something. York playing for an 8-year deal after this year, and yeah, I think that's pretty.
It's not
true.
The only one.
Yeah. Ooh, Frost wins most improved. That's a pretty strong candidate.
Playing with Michkov, as long as he sticks.
We can finally call him the 50-point scorer that everyone already says he is.
And then he gets an 8-year deal, and then we're stuck with him forever.
Look. So Frost is interesting, right? Because if he plays to his potential, he is also, in my opinion, like a lower end 2C, whereas I think Luchanko could be the high end 2C. So it is interesting, like what ends
What
up
do you pay
happening
him?
with Frost. Do you want him on the third? Yeah, what do you pay him?
I
Do you
don't
put him
mind
on
him
the
if
third
it's an
line?
effective line, but I'm not breaking the bank for the guy. Well, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see. But then again, if you're playing with Mishkov and it's going great, like how much of that's fool's gold? Are you going to have to handcuff him to Mishkov to get the value out of the contract, or is he actually that good?
Yeah, or maybe even yeah, we'll see what they do. It will be interesting to see. Comment here from Keith, the Bethlehem. Keith, thanks for chiming in, man. I wonder if Coots breaks 70 points between TK and Michkov, and that's a possibility.
That would mean he'd have to
Certainly a
play enough games
possibility.
to get there, though, and that would be another big if.
Yeah, yeah. Let's assume he does. That's a possibility, right? I mean, usually when like what do they say? A rising tide raises all ships, or something like that. And hey, if Michkov and TK are performing offensively, Coots is going to be the beneficiary as well. That could definitely happen.
That's interesting.
Eric, I feel Frost hit 60 points this year because of Michkov. Hey, it sounds great. I'm still
45 assists.
and look, I'm not hating on Frost. I like him. To me, it's still seeing is believing. So yeah, let's see him hit the 60 points. Jack, I just go ahead.
That's kind of what we're saying. And if he does, do you believe it's him or do you believe it's Mishkov? And how do you pay him accordingly? Because he's at the end of a 2-year deal as well. So that's going to be interesting to watch and to see how the Flyers navigate those waters.
Yeah, this is also interesting as well. Coots he wasn't on any of the power plays during practice today, so that will affect his point totals. You know who was on the second power play unit was Joel Farabee, who was not on any special teams last season. Excuse me. And Farabee is a pretty popular guy that comes up in our team chat, and we've talked about him on this show for the last few episodes. And if he is going to be the potential 25-25, or some people think 30-30 guy, he'll need to score some power play points. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I was intrigued by that. Is he playing well enough to get those minutes? I guess so. Second PP time is usually, you get like 40 seconds or so while the top unit gets the minute and 20, whatever it is. But just to have the opportunity, I think, is something.
It's tough because not being on the power play when you're a player of Kuch's stature, it's a bit of a punishment in a way. Like, it's not good. It's for all that reason, he's the captain of your team. He's one of your highest paid guys. He was until TK, and you're not even on the power play unit. Like, that's tough. And what does Kuch do really well that every power play unit needs? And the first and foremost is he wins faceoffs. You need possession. And you're not playing with them, and you've already had a pretty rough unit. I mean, we'll see, but Torts, he's not a fan of some of his centers, that's for sure.
Yeah, and this is why, don't get me wrong, because I love watching this team, but I like to watch more to see how things unfold and play out. And this is why I don't get so caught up in the emotion of things, should Luchanko make the team? Should he not? And, get into these big arguments, and it needs to be my way. It's like, look, if he makes the team, great. Let's watch how it plays out. And the same thing goes for a guy like Farabee, right? He had a very poor finish to the season last year, and that left a bad taste in my mouth. He's a guy for me where if there's a trade for a big time center that fits the mold of this team, Farabee's a guy that comes up for me in trade talk. So obviously the offseason trade didn't happen, and they're now putting him in. They're including him in part of the power play. So now it's like, okay, I have to put my opinions to the side, and let's see how things play out with Joel Farabee. Yeah, you saw that. Jack is off to his own pee-pee time.
It's because you laughed earlier at a comment you made yourself. Now I got a dirty mind now.
So Vinny chimes in. Farabee's year last year was perplexing. His even strike numbers were actually top 10 in the league for the first 4 or 5 months, then fell off. And we've talked about that. So, the only way, at least in my thinking, that Farabee sniffs 60 points is if he gets the power play time. right? And
Oh, for
the
sure.
power
And
play is actually putting up points.
yeah, that was my next point. And it's actually above 25th in the league. Yeah, which is another reason why I have them going further in the standings. I feel like Mishkov alone is going to improve that power play, which is going to win them more games.
Yeah. That's what it certainly sounds like. I think Briere even made a comment on that. They've expected it to improve. I forget the exact quote. You guys have probably already seen it. He says he expects it to improve enough to not finish 32nd, but doesn't expect it to be top 10, which is, I think, realistic. And it's what we're all expecting, right? Like no one's expecting the Flyers to go from 32 to 10, although they did that with their PK. So I guess anything's possible, but we're all expecting at least a slight improvement in that aspect, right?
A slight? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Still the only NHL team in the history of the league to be the 32nd ranked power play. Let's not be that anymore. You have a superstar in Mishkov. Come on. Yeah. Oh, and you have one more guy out there than the other team. Sometimes two.
This is a great point. Fancy's on fire tonight. Because we brought this up. I don't know if we brought it up on the show or just in the chat, but the one thing, this is what Fancy says here. The one thing I really worry about with this team is that they have a lot of undersized people. Michkov, Brink, TK, Drysdale, Andre. Have a few is fine, but it feels like too many undersized guys. And this is what I kind of brought up when we had Jackie on a couple weeks ago. Guys like Andre, Drysdale, and I included York in that because they're all similar size. Like maybe York's not, I guess in the same conversation as Andre and Drysdale, but they're all similar stature. So how can you have, three guys the same build, as three of your 6D? Like one of these guys might not be here, and it certainly looks like Cam York's hanging around. Jamie Drysdale's the project right now, and Andre didn't make the team. So it's a great point to bring up. Michkov's not going anywhere. TK's not going anywhere. Brink just signed a 2-year deal, which doesn't mean he's not tradable, but it's a great point. Come playoff time, it's unpopular, but the bigger teams advance.
They do. When it comes down to the wear and tear of the playoffs and wearing down your opponent, during the regular season, I'm not as concerned. And when you're rebuilding, you don't look into it too much. Once you get to the playoffs is where that's going to start to shine through. I honestly was thinking about where they're at and how they're drafting. And we'll see this year with these 3 first-round picks and trades to be made. But a name for the future, I think I can see them, if they have the money, signing a guy like Aaron Ekblad. Like he'll be available, I believe, in like 2 years. I don't know if that fits their timeline or whatnot. But one of the reasons I zoned in on him is because he's a bigger guy. I don't think he's the number one defenseman. I don't think he's going to – we'll see who else is out there that could dictate the contract as well. Yeah. But, we'll see what kind of money we have and what he's asking for. And he kind of would help fit that role. Risto's not going to be here, and I like how Risto's been playing with shoving guys and being a little bit of a bully. But when we're actually trying to win in a couple of years, you really think Risto's still going to be with the team? I think they'll have moved on from that contract, but might be looking to get somebody of that size. Somebody like Ekblad could fit that role. I don't know who else we have.
You don't like Hunter McDonald, Jack?
Okay, let me rephrase. A guy that'll play above the third line pairing, especially then you'll be. I like Hunter McDonald. As a matter of fact, if Sealer doesn't come back, we might see Hunter McDonald. The front office certainly likes Hunter McDonald. There's work to be done. Unless they draft like crazy. Unless they don't trade any of these picks and all of them are Luchankos at different positions, then I think they're going to have to tweak the roster. But that's okay. Like I want to get the core, I want to get the skill, have enough to make the playoffs, and then trade for things you need to win in the playoffs. It's essentially the long and short of it.
Yeah, for sure. Eric Wisniewski here with some throwback names. Now, I don't know if I disagree with this, but we need a center like Jesus or Keith Primo style, and I don't know where we're, maybe it's this draft, but I don't know. I get the sentiment there. Obviously, one guy's a little bit more fleet of foot. But yeah.
Well, I want big guys who can still play a little bit.
Yep. So, we'll see what happens there. We have 5 minutes left here. We did the Flyers points. I guess – What's your biggest? We talked question marks. We went over the offense, the forward group. I think the forward group is one of the deeper forward groups in the NHL. I know people want to still point out the center position. I agree that it's not the strongest part of their roster, but I don't think it's as if Coots goes down, okay, then we're in trouble. But as is right now, I'm not as worried about the center position as I've been even since last year. And then we're looking defense. Like Jack, where's your biggest area of concern with the Flyers roster heading into Friday night?
I mean, it's center, and that's because I think Arison had a really good preseason. I think he's more of the guy we saw last year before he got overworked. The defense has looked better. The defense has looked healthy. And we even managed to somewhat add to our defense, even though we got rid of Walker, but we added Jamie Drysdale halfway through last season. So I think they're even Andre looks like he's made the team. It just there's no spot for him. So I feel confident in the defense. The wingers, we have wingers for days. We discussed that. So it comes down to center. We do not have a number one center. We, in some regards, barely have a number two. It's going to come down to how well Coots plays. And Guy hasn't played a full 82-game season in quite a while. He obviously had issues last year doing so. He's only getting older. Danny Briere came out in his presser and he wasn't happy with how the vets played during game time. And I don't think a lot of that is pointed towards our wingers. I think it's pointed towards the weaker part of our team. And it could be Coots. He's not on the power play now. Like, there's a lot of red flags already for Coots this season. Who the hell knows with Frost? You got to assume he's going to be playing better. Luchanko may only be here for 9 games, and then what do you have? You have Paling as a fourth line guy. And then what? Lawton, who should have been traded probably by now. Like, that's pretty tough. That is definitely tough. So I don't know if the wingers can carry them. We talk about this team like there's a lot to like, and there is a lot to like, but there's no way every single player on this team takes that step forward. I worry about players that I see as a big part of the future taking a step back. Guys like Forrester and Tippett. I don't foresee that, but with Tippett having signed that big deal, I don't want to see him regress. I want to see him hit 30 goals. Forrester hit 20. He's got to at least hit that again, and hopefully more, especially if he's playing with certain players. What do we have in Farabee? That's a big question mark, although I like what I've seen so far. So like there's certain question marks on some players. I think far and away center depth is going to be an issue, but I'm confident enough what they have and what they could bring up and cover for that they should at least be a playoff bubble team, if not make the playoffs outright.
This is I don't want to get into like a huge discussion here, but you mentioned Forster. Would you be disappointed with 39, 40-point season from Forster?
How many goals would he have scored? 20 again?
So it depends on goals for you.
I mean, he's a shooter, like for sure. Look, if he's still bringing that defensive game and that hasn't slipped, and he just has like another similar season to last year, at the very least, he's consistent. I expect him to get going in this season earlier than he did last year. I'm hoping that alone should get him more points. Doesn't have to get 10, 15 more points, just more points. But if he teeters around 20 goals, and I'm talking 18, 19, 20 or more, I'll probably ultimately be all right with that, unless he's spending like a lot of power play time and not producing, and a lot of time with Michkov and not producing. I think they'll make changes by that point. So it's just how it looks. Numbers, just looking at cold numbers. I'm going to want him to do at least what he did last year in every category, and hopefully more. How many points, how many assists did he have last year?
13.
So he had 33 points.
Yeah.
So 40, I would be okay with 40 if it was 22 and 18, something like that.
Well, I'm only asking because he's my guy that I could be wrong, but I'm just picking a guy just to pick a guy. He's my guy that I don't think takes like a big jump. Like Tippett took a huge jump and then continued it the next year, right? Forster, I think, surprised a lot of people and scored 20 goals, and they made damn sure he got to 20 goals. But I'm curious if people would view like 15 goals, 25 assists as a step back.
So I think they would. Where I would personally, what I don't want to see happen is he plays most of the year like 70, 75 plus games and 12 goals, 18 assists. Like, less points and way less goals would hurt. I'd be like, oh man, like that's a big drop off.
Yeah.
I don't think I see that happening. I have more confidence in the guy. That's why that would be very disappointing. But also who he's playing with. He's playing with some nice players. So it's going to depend on a lot. If he's got 0 power play time, then it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm not going to kill the guy. But first things first, I wanted to see him get going earlier than last year. That's the first thing I'm keeping an eye on. Because, again, when it all comes down to numbers, if he's somewhere around the same and he did it for a full year and his defensive play is right there, he's a consistent NHL player. You can work with that and go from there. Not everybody's going to grow at the same rate. But I'm really looking for, like, look, if you don't take a step, fine, but don't take a step back.
Yeah. All right. I'm just curious. Oakham chimes in. Hot take alert.
That is hot.
Jack Berglund will be the Flyers' #1 center in a few years. Oakham, if that happens, I will buy you a Jack Berglund jersey. It'll be a Fanatics jersey, but I'll get it for you.
I'll get him skates, and the one skate's 2 sizes too big, and the other one's 1 size too big. Because if that's all this Berglund kid needed to be a stud, then holy shit is what's his? What the hell's our draft guy's name? Brent Flair, a god. Yeah. I mean, geez.
All we got to do is get him the right side skates, and this guy could be a 1C.
What scout didn't see that? Like, geez, if there's anything to that, and he turns into something, holy cow.
Yeah, that'd be something. All right. Did we miss anything tonight?
I guess, was there any Kolosov actually had a pretty good game. It was a preseason game. They beat the defending Calder Cup champion Hershey Bears. He was tested. I read Bill Meltzer's blog about it, and he had a couple of breakaways, couple of down and power play 2-on-1s, and he gave up 2 goals, but they won the game. So I'll give him that. I'll give him that one. It's only preseason, but it's the kind of stuff you want to see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. They didn't carry 3 goalies, Jim. So we'll see how long he sticks around.
Did you see the Hasek comp on Twitter, Jack?
Was that next to the Lindros or the Gretzky one?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, here we go. 2 weeks ago, everybody hated him. Now he comes over and plays an AHL preseason game, and he's got some Hasek tendencies, and it's like someone just
there are 2 goalies I remember that played like Hasek. One was Hasek and one was Tim Thomas. I've not seen much else since then.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so I didn't give my side there, but goaltending would be my biggest worry right now, because if Fedotov can't support Urson, they're in the same spot they were in last year from the jump, So I am
but
about that.
At least this year you have Kolosov.
Right. And for me,
last year
he didn't look that great for me in preseason.
Well,
he got lit up against New Jersey.
Kolosov?
Against the AHL squad, yeah.
What was this? Wait, didn't he split that game with Fedotov?
Yeah, I think Fedotov gave up a goal.
I don't remember the final score of that game. Look, he didn't kill it by any means, but
no, it didn't inspire confidence. How about that? Is that fair?
but I don't think he had enough time to, and that was his own fault. I wanted to see him get the full game. He's doing these split game things. I remember that he did get that first goal scored again. It was the first shot of the game, and they gave a wide open one timer. It got called back, luckily, for a offside. I was kind of like, so let the guy settle in. And this is me, who can't stand little pricks like that. Like, look, comes to the game, my Allies game a little different. So if you're good, then fine. But at least it's better. It's got to be better than Sandstrom. And at the very least, we find something out about who we have here. We're not seeing Peterson again. So it seems you're more concerned with backups. And that's fine. I kind of hope that happens. I want to see Kolosov play. Like, I don't see Fedotov as any part of this team's future. So I want to see Kolosov more. I really do. I hate for Fedotov to suck and we have nothing from it. I would love for him to become some kind of an asset for us. But at the same time, I hate to say this, but it's almost like I'm hoping for an injury, which is fucked up. But it is what it is. Not really, but I just want to
cancel Jack. Everyone, get him.
Yeah, cancel me. Can't believe it made it this far. So yeah, how many games do we see Kolosov? Somebody's going to have to be playing bad.
Sooner than we think.
But he better be playing good with the fans. He better not just farting around waiting for a spot.
That'll be my hot take, that we see Kolosov a little quicker than
and you got that other guy too. You got that E2 Nakaniemi or whatever his name is. He's around too. They got some names.
Do you know Sam Fortunato, Jack?
No. I've been
Can't cancel
canceled.
those who've been canceled already. I guess.
Well, Jack Smith was a prosecutor against Trump. I think he's been canceled.
Oh, they're all just keeping the crease warm for Zavragan.
Yeah, he's killing it over there. I mean, he's our new Coleslaw, but better. So that's another reason I'm like,
So we'll see what happens. It all starts Friday night, boys and girls. It's here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more sleeps till Flyers hockey. I think that's right. Been in and out of the streams. I'm just a busy guy. I like your guys' stuff. We appreciate you, Sam. Hope to see you in here more often, buddy.
Appreciate that.
So, yeah. All right. Let's wrap this one up. Our last episode before the Flyers regular season begins starts Friday night against the Vancouver Canucks. The Flyers have a 4-game road trip to start the regular season, 3 in Canada and 1 out west. Is it Seattle, I think? So they're not home until October. I don't know why I'm doing this because I don't have the exact date queued up.
It's like the 19th or something?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, thanks. Vinny signing off. Thank you, gents. Have a great evening. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We're going to wrap this baby up. Let me get the closing for you guys. One last time, give us a subscribe and a follow. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button, set alerts for weekly shows, and leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think. Give us a thumbs up. Head over to hwhockey.net for all of our latest episodes and articles. As always, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to everybody after the game Friday night. See you guys.
Bye-bye.